First seats, can I interest all the people that are coming into the first seats? Come on, look at what kind of an effort it takes, and it's still like so hard to get humans to sit next to each other. All right, so thanks for the introduction. Yes, so first of all, let me say that I don't feel 100%. As you might be able to hear, I'm a little under the weather. So I will make you people responsible for the acceleration of my healing process. So if this session goes really well, I should feel amazing at the end. So let's try to do that. Let's try all to work together to make me feel healthier again so I can come and have drinks tonight with you. Besides that, let's get rocking and rolling as quickly as possible. All right, so my topic is going to be understanding your customers really well. And customers can be replaced by users, whoever you're serving in whatever format you're serving them. And that the number one reason I see companies fail is because they don't understand their customers or users as well as their competitors, or not understanding them at all, or they stopped understanding them, really having true insight. So we'll talk about how to do it wrong and then how to rectify that and do it right. First of all, I truly believe that appreciation is the currency you pay the universe with, so thank you for showing up, right, and giving me an hour of your time. You know, as she introduced me already, I'm going to be cursing, so if that's tough for you, then I apologize. And most of the things that I'm going to be talking about are very basic concepts. So you're going to find yourself thinking, yes, Steli, he's totally right. Oh, God, yes, this is what we're going to do. And then you're not going to do it as the very next thing. Like, you're going to be really inspired, and you're going to be like, this changed my life. This talk is everything I needed to hear. This is going to completely change the way I do things. And then you're not going to do it, most likely. And the reason for that is that my kind of everything I teach is very much in the equivalent of like, what would I need to be healthy and fit? All I teach is eat broccoli and work out, motherfucker. That's my whole teaching. It's like, just eat fucking healthy shit and move your body. The basics, right? I have nothing innovative or cool to teach. It's all the basics. The problem is not that we don't understand that. The problem is that we all don't want to do it. That is why there's a gazillion books about diets. There's a million new things to dance salsa and lose weight. There's all this plethora of ways to get to that end result. Why? Because we don't want to fucking eat broccoli and work out. We want another solution for it. So, and I had lunch today with somebody that was like, oh, everything you say is amazing. I'm like, yeah, let me see you do it, right? Because it's not about it being amazing or not. It's, will it make a difference? Will you actually act differently? And the signal that I'm going to give you for that is discomfort is the signal. If anything that I tell you sounds like a really good idea, but it's something that makes you very uncomfortable doing, that's the thing you need to do. Because by definition, everything you're comfortable doing, you've already accomplished and mastered, so there's nothing really to learn or grow from. All right, so it's not just if you don't understand your customers, you're fucked. If you don't understand your audience, you're also fucked as a speaker. So let me practice what I preach a little bit here. Really briefly, who here is working for themselves, is an entrepreneur or a founder of a startup? Raise your hand. The longer I ask, the more founders are being created. All right, so cool. Thank you for that. Who here works for a startup or for a smaller kind of business? All right, a bit more. Who here works for a really large corporation? About 50-50 with like startups and larger corporation, much smaller startup founder audience. Who here is in a category that I didn't ask for, the prior three categories? All right, what the fuck are you doing? So you're in the SMB, like medium-sized business.
What's a corporation to you?
Well, you know, has thousands of employees, has been around for more than a year or something.
Well, no, we've been around for about 16 years, but we're over 400.
All right, small and medium-sized business it is. What about you? Was it you or was it somebody in that corner also raised their hand? Same? Okay. Anybody who is not in that category, do we have anybody that's completely like, I'm just a house mom and I showed up here because I see my children as products and, you know, in the development of them. Okay, so all right, so that's the audience. So, well, I don't know. We'll see how much I can customize what I do. If you have questions, just raise your hand. If I ignore you, it means that I don't want to answer your question right now. And if I feel like it's the right time, I'm going to have you ask the question. But we're going to have Q&A at the end as well. So you pick and choose how urgent you feel the question is. So first of all, a little bit about myself. I assume most of you people have no fucking idea who I am. Who here knows nothing about me? Should be most of you. Yes, that's exactly the level of humble pie I need to eat. There you go. He's especially proud of not knowing who the fuck I am. Yeah, that's what I need to make this purposeful for me, because it means there's still a lot of work to be done. Is here somebody who knew about me before they showed up? All right, conference organizer. Oh, yes, I know you. I had lunch with you. I know you. All right, so 2 people. All right, so awesome. So I'll give you a little bit. So now that you introduced yourself semi to me, I'll introduce myself to you as well. And this, oh, there you go. Hey, actually, I'm going to have you work for this. Just hold it this way. All right, so a little bit about myself. I'm not going to bore you too much because we're never going to go through all the slides in the time that I have. So I'm originally from Greece. I grew up in Germany, and for the past 10 years, I've been living in Silicon Valley and building companies there. So usually when I'm in front of any crowd, I'm like, Greece, Germany, the best that Europe has to offer in terms of 2 opposite ends of the cultural spectrum of Europe. But I grew up in a factory worker family in Germany. Nobody ever received a high education, and I was proud to continue that legacy. So I dropped out of school when I was 17, 18 to start my first business, and I've never had a job in my life ever since. Another way of saying this is I'm a serial entrepreneur. So I've done a bunch of businesses in Europe, but all non-tech, kind of more bootstrap SMBs. And then almost 10 years ago, I sold everything, bought a one-way ticket to San Francisco, and I started my first tech company in the Bay Area. That first company didn't work that well. And I'm not going to bore you about that. There's enough talks of me talking about that if you're interested. But the first company didn't work, but the second one worked out pretty well. That's the company that I run today. I'll give you very little about that in the context that's relevant for you, ladies and gentlemen. We started the company as Elastic Sales. Elastic Sales did something very simple. We were a services business that helped B2B startups that were venture funded in Silicon Valley to scale their sales. So we would offer them an outsourced sales team on demand. And we did that with over 200 venture-backed startups. So for a while, we were running kind of a secret sales lab in the heart of Silicon Valley. We were subleasing this massive office space from Google, and we had all these salespeople doing sales for all these different businesses. And all the B2B founders in the Valley and all the investors, they were all talking to us about their problems, about what wasn't working. So we learned an insane amount of knowledge on how to develop sales processes and how to scale sales teams specifically for new technology companies. And from day one, we started building a product for ourselves because 2 of my co-founders were technical, that eventually became what we're doing today. We never intended to become a product company. We kind of stumbled into it. We developed this piece of software for ourselves. And then eventually it got really good. And then our customers didn't want just our services. They also wanted our software. And eventually the friends of our employees were also bothering us that they wanted to have the software. And we got more and more signal from the market. And eventually we launched the software. The software that we run today is called Close.io. It is software for salespeople. So it's a CRM that's very much focused on inside sales, which means if you're selling through the phone or email, we've built kind of the best tool that's out there, very integrated, eliminates any kind of manual data entry that salespeople have to do and that they hate, and empowers them to just make more calls, send more emails, make better calls, send better emails, and as a result, just close more deals and make more revenue. And funny enough, we don't have a mobile app. Yeah, let that sit there for a second. So, and when we launched, we didn't launch like 3 months ago. We launched in January 2013. Yeah. And so people are like, and you're still not bankrupt? You're still around? Yeah, we're making just a few million a year in profits, and we're doing really well. Because our audience, we want to have a mobile app eventually. This is what we're saying since January 2013. Eventually, at some point, but it's a nice to have. Because our core customer, our core audience, is one where they primarily sell through email and the phone, and they do that primarily inside. So inside an office versus outside going field sales door to door. So we knew that the customer that we have likes the mobile app, but it's not crucially the number one priority that we need to build. So although it seems unfathomable to most people that in 2013 or in 2016 you don't have a mobile app. You can build a very successful high-growth business without that if it's not absolutely crucial for your customers. All right, enough about that. Let me say a little bit about Poland. So this tall gentleman, just ignore that guy. He's the head of product, but we just made a picture because funny they showed up one day and they looked exactly the same. But the tall fellow is one of my two co-founders. And funny enough, he's half Swiss, half Polish. Yeah. So this company has a little bit of Polish in it. So, and because a little bit was not enough, the first engineer that we hired that wasn't a co-founder, well, the first one was Phil, who's the head of product. The second one is this handsome gentleman, who is his Polish cousin. So we like Polish people, right? And one of the reasons why I came today is I hope I'm stumbling over another cousin of Thomas's in the audience that we can hire. Yeah, are you self-identifying yourself? Very good. All right, so we like Polish people, right? And they like us. And I'm not even kidding. We're hiring, right? We're highly profitable. We're growing really fast. We're 16 people, so we're a very small team. But the smallest nearest competitor that we have is 160 people, and they do a little bit less revenue than us. So we like Poland. We like people from all around the world. We have employees everywhere. And if you think you're amazing or you know somebody who's amazing, and you think you could deal with the kind of eclectic collection of humanity that we have as a team, then let me know. All right, so let's now talk about the actual topic. All right, so here's the problem for most companies or teams when they build product. They build something that nobody really truly gives a fuck about, right? And that sucks. It's one of the worst wastes of at least entrepreneurial, technological humanities, that we invest resources, time, energy, passion, and then we've done something that nobody truly gave enough of a fuck about, right? And there's a lot of problems that comes with it. There's money loss, there's emotions lost, there's a lot of loss. So what I'm going to try to do in this talk is help some of you or most of you to not do that, not build something that nobody cares about. And it seems obvious because nobody that starts building something wants that, right? So why are so many people and so many companies doing it? We'll explore this in a second. It's actually a 5-step process, right? A 5-step process to building something that nobody gives a fuck about. Step number 1 is, and the easiest step, is you start building something for people that you don't truly understand, right? And I'm talking to founders almost daily and teams that build something. And when they describe to me the audience, I ask them, who is your ideal customer? Who's your ideal user? And when they describe me that group of people, I ask them, why do you care about them? And here's an answer that's horrible that I get a lot of times. Well, I just think that these people have this problem and I can fix it for them. Right? How arrogant is that? It's like, there's this group of people that I'm not part of, but I have identified they have a problem from afar. And I know the solution also from really afar. So I will give it to them, right? Isn't that awesome for me? The best way to build something nobody gives a fuck about is build it for people that you truly don't get, that you don't understand. You don't know what they need. You don't know what they care about. You don't truly understand their problem. So you're going to build something that they don't care about. Or you're going to build it in a way they don't care about it. So I talked about Close.io. One of the reasons why we're able to build something that salespeople truly love and why we're so successful, although we're in the most crowded market in software, at least in B2B software, CRM is the most crowded category in it. Somebody would have sometimes people ask me, Steli, how did you guys decide to build a CRM? Like, if I had told myself 5 years ago I'd build a CRM, I'd punch me in the face. There's nothing that inside of me was like, let me go after the CRM market. I'm like, fuck that market. It's overcrowded as shit. I don't want to be in that market. We just happened to build something that people loved in that market. And if you do that, it doesn't matter how crowded it is. You still are going to succeed. So for us, the reason why we did that is because we were the customer. We built something for salespeople, and by me, I see myself, I am a salesperson. I might be an entrepreneur, but my entrepreneurial superpower is sales, right, at its core. So, and we didn't just build something for a specific type of salesperson, because we were running a sales an outsourced sales force that was doing sales for all kinds of different businesses. We built something that a lot of different salespeople in a lot of different businesses needed. We had that unique perspective. All right, so step number one to build something nobody cares about is build it for people you don't get and you don't truly understand. Step number two is when you start building it, you're going to try to validate your ideas. Who here has heard of like customer development and lean startup and all that stuff? All right, a good amount. So that's the whole concept of saying, when you have an idea, don't just build it, go and validate that your hypothesis for the idea is valid, that people really like this, that people will really want this. So get validation and then go build, right? Seems logical, seems to make sense. The problem with this is that, the problem with almost everything is humanity. Is the thing, like building a business or a product is not complicated. It's the humans attached to it that makes it complicated, right? So the problem with trying to validate your idea is that you're going to attempt to be right. And if you attempt to be right, you're going to find ways to be right. So you're like, I have this idea, and I think doctors would really love if there was an app that allowed social gaming dynamics for patients that have this horrible disease so that they're competing with other people with that disease and get points, right? So that's my idea. And then I go to a doctor, and I want to validate that I'm right with that idea. And here's the problem. When you are the creator of a product, most likely you are somewhat passionate, maybe slightly too optimistic and positive. So you go out there in the world to prove your idea right. And what do you do now? You go to a doctor and you go, hey, it's my idea, it's social gaming for people with this horrible disease, and it's going to give them points and gaming dynamics, da-da-da-da-da. Don't you think that that's a great idea? And you pitch it with all this passion. You look at him like a puppy with your big eyes. You're like, isn't this great? And the doctor will go, yeah, I think that is an interesting idea. And you go, boom, see, validated. I knew people would love this, right? And you talk to 10 fucking doctors that all tell you, okay, sure, yeah. And then you go, I validated this idea. Let me now raise 100 million and build this, right? Or the other equivalent of this is, let me waste the next 3 years of my fucking life to build this, right? Because I validated it. Well, you wanted to what the thinker thinks, the prover proves. You wanted it to be right, so you went in the world and you found proof that you're right, right? So, you build something for people who don't get, you're trying to be right, you're jerking off on vanity, right? So, you're in the business now that you started building this product, you're in the business of being right. Every day you work on this is one more day that you're invested in it, which means you humanly and emotionally need to be right that you spent this amount of time in it. And every day that you keep building it, you're more invested in it, which makes it harder to be wrong. So what do? You look for the number that seems the best to suggest that you're succeeding, right? You're jerking off. And we had this example all the time. You're looking for whatever number of metric you generate that is the biggest, for obvious reasons. Bigger is better, right? So you're trying to show that your metrics are huge, which validates that you're really amazing. But at the end of the day, all you're doing is you're fucking yourself, right? No pun intended, but this is exactly what you do. So I'll give you an example. Just the other day, 2 weeks ago, in the Valley, there's a kid from Europe, I won't identify it further, that was in the Bay Area, talks to me and a friend of mine, built a mobile app, launched it, accidentally was on television, so it got a few more downloads than the average Joe would get, has 50,000 people that downloaded this app, and now wants to launch it in the US. And my friend and I were asking him about metrics. And funny enough, the metric that they identified as the key metric they want to work on is, let's say, the equivalent of how many total likes Facebook is generating on their timeline stream, right? And like, well, we already have a few 100,000 likes a month, and we want it to be millions and then hundreds of millions. And I'm like, where the fuck does it matter how many likes this thing generates? It doesn't seem to be a meaningful number at all. I'm like, wait a second. Right now, out of those 50,000 users, well, let me ask you, how many likes do you generate a day? It's like, a few hundred. I'm like, a few hundred? It's like, yeah, I'm constantly playing with the app and liking things. I'm like, how many other people in your team do that? Oh, most of us. Like, what the fuck is this? Like, right? So we're all jerking off to generate this superficial number that means nothing, right? And another great example of this, and just this can make a big difference. MySpace, if some of you remember that this existed as a service, MySpace was a social network. Their number one core metric was new signups. Facebook is another service that still exists. That was a competitor. They had decided to only care about active users. That made all the difference between the path these two companies took, because Facebook, everything they built, everything they did was to increase the number of people that were truly engaged and came back every single day, a number that was meaningful, versus MySpace, all they cared about is people signing up. Didn't matter what people did, if they came back or if they used the product. If you want to build something people care about, or if you want to build something nobody cares about, is you jerk off on vanity metrics. You find the number that's the biggest, and that's the number you focus on. Step number 4, you scale prematurely. Because your number is so big, and because you are right, and you're helping these people, you think, now is the time to build a massive team, hire lots of people, raise money. You just need to grow, right? Which is obviously a really bad idea, because you don't truly know if you've done anything that's worthwhile yet. I'm not going to go into too much detail on this point. But then point number 5, which is my favorite one, is that you're fucked. This is the 5-step process, right? You start building something for people you don't get. You then try to prove yourself right. Once you've convinced yourself that you're right, you're now looking for numbers that prove you that you're really right. And then you try to now, because it's the time to scale that thing, and then you're done. You're fucked. You're out of business. You're bankrupt. You are broke. That's usually how kind of the life cycle of bad product development go. All right, and now some of you might go, well, we already launched a product, and that product already has users or customers. Ha, Steli. Well, the problem with this is that if you don't continuously understand your users or customers better than your competitors, they will eventually own them. Coming back to my MySpace example, they had more users than Facebook when Facebook launched, but Facebook understood the user better than MySpace. So sooner or later, the user redistributed themselves from one place to another, right? So the problem with this is that even if you get it right at the beginning, you're not done. This is a never-ending process. Understanding your users and customers really intimately and deeply is a never-ending job if you want to build things that people care about. So, what should you do instead? Let's go through some of these. First of all, you have to focus on insights and learnings, especially in the early days. It's not about proving yourself right. It's not about having a number that grows really crazily. It's not about being in the press. It's not about whatever the fuck you think it's about. What it's about, more than anything else, is to go into the product development cycle with an open mind and with an attitude and a desire to learn and generate insights. How can I understand my user or customer better today than yesterday? How do I understand their problems better today than I did yesterday? How can I test some of the ideas we have and generate real learnings? All you want to focus on in the beginning is just understanding the user or customer better. That's your number one priority. Every single week should not be about, did we get 10 more downloads or not, but should be about, what did we learn this week? What kind of insights did we create about our users, our customers, their problems, and possible solutions to those? The next thing you need to do is you need to prioritize retention over acquisition. This is something, especially in the mobile space, that seems to be a novice idea. But here's the deal. If you build a mobile app and you get a bunch of downloads, it doesn't fucking matter how many there are. Let's say it's just 100, or a few hundred. Let's say it's 200 downloads, right? Your natural instinct is going to be, well, we have 200 downloads. How do we get to 2,000? How do we get to 20,000? How do we get to 200,000? That's all you're going to care about. Well, that doesn't fucking matter if out of your 200 downloads, nobody's checking in on the app or logging into the app the next day after they download it. Imagine you have 200 downloads, but out of the 200 downloads, a week later, one person is still opening the app. What is it going to do? We're never going to build a sustainable business if almost everybody that downloads the app never comes back. Never. You could get 2 gazillion downloads. If after a month or two, after a long enough timeline, people don't log in anymore, you're fucked. You're just fucked with a delay. It's worse. That is much worse than being instantly fucked. Because instantly you realize, oh shit, we're doing the wrong thing. I don't like this. Let me stop. Right? But with the delay, it creates that illusion of, shit, we're making love happen and things are amazing and everything is great. And then, oh shit. And probably you're making, huh? MySpace. Yeah. They're like, oh, we're killing it. They didn't know that they're fucked. Well, that's mostly the case in anybody that's doubling down on bad decisions doesn't know they're fucked. Right? Anybody that's like, we hired more people, boom, we're out of business. We raised more money, boom, we're out of business. Right? All these people, the problem is that the being fucked part of this was delayed, which is usually true. So you need to find indicators for that much earlier. Retention is a beautiful indicator. So if you develop a mobile app or any type of application, you don't focus on acquisition. Acquisition is important, but it's the second step. First step is retention. Can I get 200 people to download my app? And can I then, a week, a month later, see how many of these people are opening the app every single day? If you get out of 200, if you get 100 people to keep opening it, it's not bad. If you get 150, now we're talking. If you get 190 people, it's insane. The retention is so good. It's going to be easy to raise money and find ways to go from 200 to 200,000 or 200 million, easy, relatively, because we know every penny we invest in a user, that user is going to stick around forever with us because we built something that they care about. Versus, if I spend $1 on this user, tomorrow I lost them and I lost that dollar. How is this ever going to work? It's not. So retention is much more important than acquisition. Success is more important than happiness. This is more in a B2B context, but really, this is a really important point that a lot of companies get wrong. They confuse happy customers with successful customers. Here's the difference. A happy customer might just be somebody that, for some personal, emotional, irrational reason, likes what you did. I really like how this app feels. I really like how this product works. I'm really happy about it. Happy is good. I'm not against happiness. Happiness is all cool. Success is much more valuable. Because in the B2B context, for instance, you can have an internal champion, somebody that bought your product and really loves it for irrational reasons. He likes using new technology. He's like a gadget freak or whatever the fuck. Or he likes you. He likes the logo of your company. For some reason, this person likes this. If that person is fired or leaves the company and the next person is hired, and they need to make some decision on, should we keep paying for this or not? Can they make a math on a piece of napkin that tells them that they're getting a lot more value from your solution than what they're paying? See, that's success. That's different than happiness. My definition for success is it creates a lot more value to the user or customer than they have to pay in return, and they are aware of it. Sometimes you can create a shit ton of value for customers and they don't know. It's also a problematic space. But if you create a ton of value, a ton more value to me than what I pay you, and you realize that, you're a successful customer. And successful customers are retained much easier than happy ones. They stay forever, right? For rational reasons. So you want to prioritize success over happiness. Now, a lot of times we all want to build great things. We all want to build big things. Again, coming back to the how this is going to scale and what vanity metrics can we create. But the great arises out of small things that are truly honored and cared for. So in the early days of product development, the early days of company development, you really want to do something for a small group of people and truly care greatly for it. Because if you do that, it's going to grow into something really, really significant eventually. So it starts with this question: who is your customer or who is your user? The narrower, the better. A lot of times, I ask people, hey, okay, so who's your customer base? And again, you guys can translate my B2B speak into like B2C speak. It's the same fucking thing. Who's your user base? People go, oh, we have very narrow understanding of our user base. Cool. Who is it? Anybody between 12 and 45 years old in North America or Europe. No shit, that's your narrow customer profile. Oh, wow, awesome. Sure, because the 12-year-old and the 46-year-old, the exact same needs, exact same problems. The Greek app user versus the California one, the exact same thing, as long as they're the same age. No. Most people don't want to start very narrow because narrow seems small. You go, wow. Steli, if I define my customer base in this very narrow term, it's only 4 people on the planet. You know what my response to that is? Awesome, let's go get them. If it's only 4, it's easy to identify. Let's go and get them. And let's see, motherfucker, if we can make them happy and successful and retain them. Because if we can't retain those 4 assholes, how are we going to retain 4 million people? right? And I say this lovingly, like I would call myself an asshole in this very specific context as well. If you can't make one person happy, how are you going to make 1 billion people happy, right? Or successful? Like, start very, very small. Here's the way I want you to think about this. I want you, when you think about your customer profile, to draw a very, very small circle, a circle that only includes very few people. The fewer, the better. Then I want you to fill that circle up. Go and get these people. And once it's filled up, here's what I want you to do. I want you to draw a narrow circle right around it, right? So we go, oh, we got these 4 people. Who are people that are as similar to these 4 as possible? Who are their neighbors? Who are their parents? Who are their, whatever, competitors? And then you make a smaller circle that's a slightly bigger circle that's around that. You fill that circle up. And then you make a slightly bigger circle around that, and you fill that up. And eventually, hopefully, you're so successful that the circle is so big it includes the whole fucking planet. But you don't start that way. Why? Because it's very hard to truly, intimately understand everybody. Oh, I have a true, deep, and very intimate understanding of the 8 billion people. Every single one of them. It's very fucking hard to say, right? But you can understand 4 people if you care enough and if you spend enough time. So start a lot narrower than you want to. And if you don't have it, how about creating a customer profile? Just open a Google Doc, write, this is who we are going to serve, and then write down as narrowly as possible, who is that person or who is that corporation? And make it very, very narrow. So you start, and that's why it's usually and typically not a bad idea when you build something for yourself. Because you know yourself somewhat intimately, right? And then the question is, are there other people like me? Probably. Many? Who knows? Maybe or maybe not. But you start at a point where you have true customer user understanding. There's no such thing as secondhand insights. So what that means is, the further you're removed from the user or customer in your customer development, you're figuring out what to build and how to build it, the further you are removed, the lesser your understanding, and you cannot outsource understanding. You can't hire a development team or a sales team or a marketing team or PR team or product management team and tell them, go and figure out what our users need and then let us know, and then we're going to take it from there. It doesn't fucking work, right? You need, if you are the one that's owning the product, developing it, is the founder, is the product manager, whatever your role is, or if you truly want to build things that come with understanding, you need to be as close to the people you serve as possible. You can't outsource this. There's a pyramid and a priority of how you create context, true insights, and understanding when you interact with users and customers. At the bottom of the pyramid is personal interaction, right? One-to-one human interaction. Why? Because so we'll go through this example really quickly. So personal interaction, the least scalable, but the deepest in terms of the context richness of my interaction and the ability for me to generate insights, right? The next level is a phone conversation. I only have his voice, and I can ask questions, I can interact. It scales a little bit better, right? I can call people in multiple places. I can probably call more people than I can meet in a day, but it still has a lot of context and data. One level above that is email exchange. We can go emails back and forth that scales even further and better. But again, it takes away tonality as a data point that might be very, very important in terms of understanding. One level above that is surveys, right? I just send a fucking thing. I can send it to a lot more people than I can email individually back and forth. They clickety-click around things, and then I look at end results. And at the top of this is clicks. And this pyramid is kind of reversed in terms of how much context you're getting versus how well it scales. I forgot to include that in this, but just imagine it. So at the top, clicks, right? How many people, how much traffic did we get, or how many clickety-clicks did we get on a buy button or something else? That is, it scales insanely well, but it has almost no context. Here's an example of this, right? So most people, especially people in mobile development, I find, they don't want to do this fucking shit. They don't want to do personal in-person. I went into product development not to have to interact with humans, right? I was in a conference the other day where I overheard this. It was like, running a software business would be great if it wasn't for the customers. I find life in general would be simple if it wasn't for humans, right? I mean, if it wasn't for us, everything would be simple. But again, broccoli and workout, the shit that I'm telling you is not the shit that you want to do necessarily, but it might be the thing that you need to do if you really want to have a healthy product. So in-person conversation. We'll run through this example really quickly. Let's say I meet with him in person and I show him, what the fuck, whatever, an app on my phone, right? Here's my app. What do you think? Does this make sense? Let's say this is not the way you should do it, but just to simplify this, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but let's say I just go, hey, here's my app, do you like it? And he goes, yeah. That is very different from if I send him an email and I say, do you like this app? And he responds, yes. Don't you think? Why?
Because you actually suggested the answer.
Yes, in this case, so she's right. In this case, because I'm trying to make an example, I didn't think about it carefully enough beforehand. She's like, well, you were suggestive in your asking of the question, so there's no difference, right? Because if I ask that question that way, there's a good point. I might not even get that the person going, oh yeah. I'm like, oh, they said yes. I might be so in the habit of trying to be right, as I said it earlier, that I'm just looking for signals that are buying. But independently from that, I'll give you another example. If you go to somebody's office and you go, hey, you are a user of ours, you're a customer of ours, let me just come into the office and see how people in the office interact with our application. Now what you have is you see your users in their natural habitat. So you see, oh shit, all these people that use our software also use our competitors' software on their screen. That was impossible for you to know, because if we go up into the clickety-click area, if you just look into your analytics, you're like, these people use the shit out of our software. They must love it. But then you look at their screens and they use this other piece of software and you're like, why the fuck are they all using this other software? And then you go and you ask them and they go, oh yeah, it's because your email da-da-da really sucks, so we use them for that part of it. And you go, oh, okay, right? So the more context you have, audio, visual, auditory, if you could taste them, that would also be great. The more data you have, the more context you have, the more information you have in terms of generating true insights, truly getting insights. You get somebody to download your app. Let's say you have 10 people that download your mobile app. Just looking at the analytics of what they do, don't they do, that's okay. But if you could get them into a meetup, right, and you're like, free drinks for everybody to use our app in Warsaw, and out of the 10 people, 3 show up, and you go, can I see my app on your phone? What you're going to see is all the other apps on their phone. And you're going to see, is your app on the home screen, or is it like the 5th in a folder, in another folder, right? You'll see if they use some competitor apps, what other apps they use. Oh, all these 3 people have 4,000 apps on their phone. That is curious. That might suggest that our users are power users that like to download every fucking app on the planet. That is different insight than if all of you users are like, I'm embarrassed, I don't have many apps because I don't like to download apps. That is fucking awesome. Please never change, because you already downloaded ours. That's a different user, fundamentally, right? If you see them use your app, they click on the app, do they, and you think you have this really awesome feature, do they click on it when you go, hey, do this clickety-click thing that's cool, that's new? When they do it, do they like smile and show it? Or are they going like, how do I do this again? I know that you guys released this new thing, I'm not sure. All that is medicine for your stupidity. Interacting with users or customers in person, and you guys come on in. This is a very friendly affair. You don't have to, they're like, we're not decided yet if we want to be in the room. That's also cool. But if you want to be in the room, come in. You're not interrupting me. But there's a difference between seeing people using things in person versus just looking at analytics. Because analytics remove you very far from the human. And you want to be close to the human if you want to understand the human. And you need to understand the human if you want to serve the human. You need to ask lots of questions. This is actually the point of like my bad example here. Ask questions, shut the fuck up, and then listen. Most people think just because somebody's not talking, they're listening. Which is not true. We all know that. Right? Just because you're not talking, you're not listening necessarily. About 80% of the time, you're thinking about what you're going to say next while the other person is talking. Or about the weather. Or if you're not in person, even better, you're like on Facebook or on Tinder or something. Right? And you're doing things. So just not speaking is not enough. That doesn't equal listening. Listening means you truly care about the answer. Too many people that show me their products, they talk all the time. They never ask me a fucking thing. I had an Uber driver the other day that developed an app. For the entire 40 minutes, he was talking to me about his app and how amazing it was. And it breaks my heart because I'm like, what did he learn in this 40 minutes? Nothing. Everything he said, he already knew. He could have spent 40 minutes learning something. Maybe not with me, but maybe with another passenger. Right? If you ask enough people and you truly listen, you'll learn something. When you do product development, customer development, when you interact with humans to try to understand them, so because you understand them, you build things they truly care about, you need to be curious and you need to care. You need to give a shit about them. If you're like, I don't care about what you want, I want to build an app that makes $1 million. So this app is awesome and you better agree. Right? Then all you're going to hear, everything the person is telling you, all the problems they have, well, I'm not sure if as a doctor I could give my, almost dead patients this app that gamifies the disease. I'm not sure about privacy implications and that stuff. You're like, well, yeah, we thought about the privacy problem, and it's really easy. I mean, today people are really on Facebook. What the fuck are you doing? This person is trying to give you information, context, data, try to educate you on an issue they have. And what you're trying to do is convince them that you're right. Isn't that a heartbreaker? You're not learning anything about your user. And the other thing is, people typically are too timid when they give you negative feedback. So when somebody goes, I think this could work, your response can't be, awesome, I'm glad that you agree with me. Your response needs to be, okay, but could there be a reason why it doesn't work? Which is this: try to prove your hypothesis wrong instead. This is a nice counteractor to the being too positive as a product developer or owner or founder. Instead of going out there and trying to prove yourself right, how about going out there and trying to prove yourself wrong? You show something to the doctor and you go, here's the app, what about this is bad, and what about this would make you never really use it and love it? And the doctor says, I don't know, I think this is really good. Yeah, but there must be something. Like, would you download this right now and use it all day long, every day, and pay me lots of money for it? Surely not, right? There's some problem. Well, no, I think I would. No. Just let's think about this really carefully. Like, you're trying to convince them to figure out what is going to be a problem. If everybody that you're trying to convince that you're wrong is telling you that your original hypothesis was right, that's a much better signal than if you're just like, isn't this cool? And they go, yeah, I knew it. Jackpot. This is cool. Right? Try to prove your hypothesis wrong. It's going to make you listen totally differently. And it's going to open up people to be honest with you, because think about it. There's nothing in it for me to tell you that the thing you love sucks. There's a lot of risk. You might get angry, you might get pissed, you might scream at me. If I'm just politely, lying to you, I'm going to make you happy. So it's much easier for people to lie to you than to be honest. You have to earn the truth by caring. When you focus on a metric, focus on something that's not bullshit and only focus on one thing. This is the number one piece of advice that I got from Paul Graham, who ran Y Combinator. I don't know how many people here know him, but he's probably one of the biggest living geniuses when it comes to entrepreneurship. He created the spam filter that your email clients are using today around the world. He built the first e-commerce SaaS platform that was bought by Yahoo, and he developed kind of the most influential entrepreneurial accelerator program in Silicon Valley called Y Combinator. And the number one thing that he did is when we met with him the first week when we went through the program, he said, what's the number one metric that is a definer for success for what you guys are building? And in our case, or let's say if you're a mobile app developer, or in our case, we could have said, at the time we were building something totally different than today, so this is not relevant for it, but you could have said, number of users, number of signups, number of interactions, number of this, number of that. But for us, the most important thing was users that had signed up with their credit card, right? Fully enrolled paying members, right? That was the number that we had mentioned to him. And he said, all right, so can you promise me that for the next 3 months as you go through the program, every single week you're going to have at least 10% growth on users that have 10% on users that are fully enrolled with a credit card. And we shook hands. I shook his hand and I said, all right, I promise this. And then as he wanted to take his hand back, I was like, do you have your credit card with you? Right? He's like, yeah. All right, can I enroll you right now? because we have 10 users. If I get one more, we have 10% growth this week. And he was like, exactly, that's why I want you to focus on that number. And then I went around and I signed up everybody that I could meet in that room. And for the next 3 months, every week, when we looked at all the things we could do, it was very simple to prioritize because we had to step back and go, what out of all these things will bring the most fully enrolled, fully paying users? Let's build that thing, right? And that's how we got to 20% week-over-week growth. And then I mentioned this before, so I'm not going to make this any longer. You're never done with this. If you don't understand your customer, you're fucked. If you stop understanding your customer, you're fucked as well. Isn't that awesome? Right? If you got tons of users and customers because you truly deeply understood them, and then you stop caring about them, and there's somebody else that deeply cares about them and starts understanding them much better than you, they will eventually own them. They will leave. All right, so before I go, if you guys care about mobile development a lot more, I have a podcast with this gentleman, Heaton Shah, who is one of the SaaS and marketing geniuses of the web. It's called thestartupchat.com. You can subscribe there. And if you want to hear the episode where we talk about launching a mobile app, you go to thestartupchat.com/app for episode 10. We're almost 100 episodes deep. We talk Tuesdays for 20 minutes, so there's 2 episodes a week released, Tuesday and Friday. Tuesdays usually very tactical, sales, marketing, landing pages, this, that, product development. And Fridays is like whatever the fuck we want to talk about. So usually it's things like how the death of our parents influenced us as founders. Religion and startups, whatever the fuck is interesting to us, and people seem to like it. There's actually 2 listeners at least in this room. If you want more content like this, go to blog.close.io. We publish a shit ton of content. And if you want to get in touch with me with more questions or anything, just shoot me an email, Steli, S-T-E-L-I, @close.io. This in the last 10 minutes should have been Q&A, but we'll make it the next 10 minutes. All right, thank you very much.